Alrighty, welcome back. Time to build some terrain. I'm pretty excited about this. I've only had like one or two other pieces of terrain from GW, and I liked them. And so I'll be interested to see how this goes. It looks pretty easy, and I do like how they tell you about using rubber bands, which is really smart. Basically going to build a tube, really, for all intents and purposes. We're going to build a tube, cap it off, and then the bolt guns here, we'll glue them together, but you don't need to glue them in. They'll just slot in. So I think you can save points off of these or something if you don't put bolters on there, something like that. So, and yeah, the big time Promethean barrels and ammunition crates. So you got 3 of each of those in one big container, and I think we'll get 2 more of these to build. So we'll have plenty of terrain to get us going. So starting off, the big thing here is going to be, you're going to have well, let's just see. We're going to take 1, 2, and there's, yeah, these are 2s, this is 1s, and I think these are like 3s. So the big trick is going to be when you come into, I mean, look at this, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, there's 6 connection points here, and they're not small at all. Those are huge connection points. So we're going to be snipping those off, and more than likely it's going to leave probably even holes in this plastic. It's a real pain in the butt. Down here, they're we'll have a little bit of room to cut it a little away from the fig, the actual model itself, so that we could stop that. But like these here, these connectors are right up against the model itself, so real pain in the butt. And the same with I mean, look how big that thing is. That's huge. Yeah, it's going to be real fun cutting that. So you just got to do what you can do. So let's see how it cuts. So I'm backing off a little bit from the model itself. I'm not pushing up against it as much as I would if this was like a normal connection, to try to get a little bit away from the model itself. And that should, see, it still leaves, you cut a piece out, and I mean, it takes a chunk out of the metal, or the plastic. What I'm going to do here, I'm just going to cut this away so it's easier to get into. Might actually, let's see if I cut here, make sure this is on. Cut here, here, there, and like right here. Oh. All right. So moved a little too fast there. Okay, so now we don't want to lose these pieces, but it does make it a lot easier to cut these pieces here. Man, yeah, they didn't do anybody a favor. So these we can definitely cut away from the model itself. So that should help. Yeah, that really helped. But of course that's the bottom. So what's happened here is, like, especially this one, I mean, there's a literal hole in that plastic right there that we're going to have to fix. So that'll be fun. That's awesome. And I'll show you a neat trick on how to fix that. Yeah, that is a literal hole. It's great. It's always fun. So now here, I'm going to use, yeah, that thing that shall not be named. But like I said, if you just take a little bit, you don't need a lot of pressure. It's a very sharp knife. And just a couple of shaves here. It's just going to make it easier with the scribe, because the scribe really can't cut the plastic. It just basically kind of rubs it off. There. A little bit there. Make sure your thumb as far away as you can. Just that little bit. That looks a lot better. Let's get our scriber out here. Like I said, this is the bottom, so no one's ever going to see this unless they pick it up and look at it. Not very concerned with how it looks. So we're just kind of making sure it doesn't look bad. And like I said before, you want to kind of scrape it from different angles. Alright, but let's look at that top. And I wonder, let's see. Like, I know what these are for. I mean, they gotta inject the plastic into the mold somewhere. But wow. Those are some pretty amazingly thick. Alright, yeah, this is the one. Yeah, that's a hole. Wow. And the easiest way to kind of get these sanded down nice is just using a sanding stick, or if you've got a sanding block. These are pretty big. An actual block might work better. We can get the stick to work pretty well. You just heard my dog. He's just being a pain in the butt. Been out all evening. I don't know why he needs to bark to get out now. Yeah, those are all really nasty. Alright, well, now let's kind of work at the... This is both the floor and the ceiling. So, those are the ones. These are really nasty. I don't know why they would do that. I don't even know. I wonder if it'd be easier. That's why I have one of these cutting mats. Could we maybe? Yeah. So that works pretty well. So yeah, if you have a X-Acto knife and a cutting mat like this, you can lay the cutting mat down and just push those through. So that works pretty good. If you have an X-Acto and if you trust yourself, and don't do this without a mat though. Good Lord, you're gonna really chop some stuff off. There. Just push down a little. See how that turned out. Yeah, that's really nice. And unfortunately, once again, like this is going to be hidden. You're not going to even see, yeah, you don't really even see that on the fig itself. So, way to go. It's like we don't even don't even get to show people how good it looks, because it's going to be hidden. And I'll just kind of shave this down just to make sure it's going to fit in good, because this could, if it's proud of that piece, it could cause this panel to kind of buckle around, so we don't want that. We want to make sure that this is flush. That's why it just takes a little bit of sanding with the sanding stick on both sides. If it's real bad, you could use the scriber, but this came off pretty good. I may need to get a new sanding stick out. You can buy these in packs of like 10, 15, 20, I don't know. They're relatively cheap, especially for what they do for you. Yeah, that looks good. Let's test that again. Yeah, see, now you should have real good matching up. No buckles, no, can't really see through that now. So that should look really good. Yeah, we just gotta, wow, that's really bad, because this will be, the other piece is gonna be just the top. So as you can see, top is gonna leave all those little divots standing. You're gonna see them all, instead of like placing the top like that, like on top of that bar. Instead, it's gonna leave it open so everybody can see. So that's great. Whereas on the bottom, no one can see, because they were attached here. They could have done something similar at the top, like for picking the thing up or something. They could have made them proud of that, made smaller. I don't know. I'm just rambling. Really upset. It's going to make it look not all that nice. So here we can do the same thing. Let's see if we cut here. And here. And there. And there and there. And we just have to snip this real quick. That, see how small those are? Yeah. Who knew? Then we can kind of make it easier to get in there. Our snipper, that just flew right off there, I'm sorry. Let's see, maybe if we tried snipping them really close. Caught it. There we go. So yeah, let's try this time. Let's see what happens if we snip real close. Because I've not, I don't know if I said this before, but I haven't made one of these before. I haven't had the issue of these huge. Okay. A little divot there and here, but everywhere else it looks much better. So maybe we stick with cutting right against the model like we've been doing everything else. Maybe that would work with a really big piece with really big connections. Like I said, yeah, really first time I've made this kit, and really the first time I've really made scenery pieces. So I have to excuse my ignorance. We're doing this, maybe both of us, first time. So you are allowed to make mistakes. I guess the important thing is always don't make the same mistake twice. So did not do that. At least not too bad. Yeah, wow, those look much, much better. These are, let me get out the X-Acto real quick. Because see, the problem with the X-Acto, especially when you work on something like long like this, is what'll happen is when you look down the line, you'll see these divots and it waves in and out where you came in and thought you were going really lightly, but instead you took a gigantic chunk out of the miniature. So that's why I suggest you don't use an X-Acto knife unless you do have some experience with it, because you can really mess up something, really make it look bad. So I have made tanks that have something similar to this kind of a surface. And you, like the Rhino panel, the side panel on a Rhino has a very similar surface where you don't want to look down the top and see little nick. Don't really want that. So you got to be real careful with that X-Acto. If you haven't been using it for a while, you may want to stick to the scribe. Yeah, now see this. That turned out much, much better. There's just a small, like tiny pinhole there, which won't be bad. I can show you what I do, and it usually works pretty well. Is just a little, I think with a little pinhole we might get away with that. Run some glue over it. There's another little hole. Let that dry. That's usually pretty good. I don't have any rubber bands, so I'm going to have to go find some. Like I said, I haven't made something this big before, except for a tank, and the tanks you can clothespin most of that, so I don't have anything with me here. I don't know. Those are big and deep. Let's give it a try. You never know, do you know? Ooh, God, they're really bad. Okay. So we'll let that dry. Come back in a bit. But yeah, so cutting something off like this, you really want to have a mat if you're going to be using it to press down on something like that. It was like this, yeah. And you just press, and the mat's really neat. It kind of does like a little self-healing thing. It's hard to even tell that you'd cut into it, but like the kitchen table or a glass table or something like that, it's not a good idea. So I know I've had this for years. I don't even know how much it costs, but it's definitely worth an investment if you're going to be into this hobby at any level, because of that. Especially if you're going to be doing a lot of building. I know not everybody builds their own models, I guess. I don't know. So, but we'll let those glue and we'll be back. Thanks for watching. Keep building.